We dubbed it Lowrider, and ever since people have been like, oh yeah, the Lowrider stuff. So it seems to be working for us. So we've essentially moved that name over from the mountain bike collection into the hike collection. So getting into the pack, this is your reservoir compartment. And what we're calling it is a completely autonomous reservoir compartment. So when you pull the reservoir out, it has basically this, all our packs have a separate like insulated reservoir compartment, but this one actually has space built into it to hold the full width of a full reservoir. So it's not impeding on your cargo space, which is great for lumbar reservoir loading or reservoir loading in general, and then also just to not take up space from your cargo or having to like shuffle things around to get the reservoir in. Moving into the back panel, one piece that ties into the lumbar reservoir is we have lumbar reservoir compression that ties back into the waist belt, but this actually threads into the reservoir compartment and goes in front of the reservoir. So when you put the pack on and you're fitting it to yourself and you're all ready to go, that's your final thing, is you cinch that reservoir compression, and that pushes the reservoir into your back, just creating a more stable carry, so everything's really solid and there's not any movement in there. And then you can continue to compress that as you drink the water, so there's not sloshing of the water, and it just helps to keep pressure on the reservoir and make sipping easier. The whole idea behind the Lowrider lumbar reservoir story is taking that water weight and putting it on your hips and freeing up your shoulders, which is great just to keep the weight off your shoulders so you don't get sore, but also freedom of movement within your arms. And so with that comes this large hip belt or waist belt, which we've actually tried to ventilate it as well to keep like airflow and keep it cool. And then you have waist belt pockets, 2 zippered pockets on the front. This is what we're calling our air suspension back panel. It's essentially a trampoline style back panel that runs the full length of the pack from the very top up here all the way to the base. So this is a foam padding, like wicking material, but the trampoline actually runs all the way to the base, so that gives you more comfort. So there's less padding, probably less weight, and more comfort and ventilation all throughout. Other cool technology pieces are the magnetic tube trap. So we've had this for 2 years now. And so that's just an easy release of the tube for sipping, and then you can simply drop it back in at any angle. So that's what kind of differentiates ours from the others on the market, is that unidirectional release. Load lifters, bottle pockets or coffee tumbler pockets, trekking pole carry, hike essentials organization in the front, nice big overflow, and then daisy chains for adding extra gear and stuff like that. So that's essentially the Franconia in a nutshell. This is the men's pack. It's 24 liters, 3-liter reservoir with 21 liters of cargo. And then you have the women's version, which is the Sundowner, and that is 22 liters, total 19 liters of cargo. And the differences there between the men's and the women's is the torso length is a little bit shorter on the women's. The harness shape is more ergonomically correct for a woman's body, and then the angle at which the hip belts come off the base of the pack is different as well for ergonomics.